Hey, welcome back to Sales Made Easy. This is Tom at salesmadeeasy.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear stories about prospecting, sales stories. Maybe even get you on my podcast. That would be wonderful. So please email me and let me know. But the other thing I want you to do is I want to take some actions today. Do something a little different. We're going to talk about a salesperson versus a closer. That was the big thing I always heard as a young kid was he's a closer. And when I started studying some of those people, they didn't use any of those techniques of how to close a sale and all that stuff. What they did is they closed meetings and they knew their process. And so if we talk about the couple steps I want you to take to become a closer, the first thing is stop thinking about closing the sale. Let's talk about what it takes to be a successful closing. First thing is close the meeting. See, a successful salesperson knows their process, knows what they need to get in a first meeting, what they need to have before they do a demo, what they need to have before they bring in the samples, what they need to get, know, and have before they bring in a quote. And so they won't go to that step unless they have that. So a good closer versus just an everyday salesperson walks into that first meeting knowing I need to find out this information. I need to be able to get in a second appointment. I need to get whatever for me to set up another meeting. So if they don't do that, they won't leave and set up another meeting. They'll sit there and ask the question, right? Same thing when they're doing a demo or a quote or whatever. They know if they don't have this information, their likelihood of getting the business ain't happening. So they're not going to go out of that meeting without this information or without a no. See, a good closer is also good at closing the file, right? So do you understand your process, right? Because I want you to think about closing the meeting, right? So I don't want you to ever leave a meeting without saying to somebody, should we have another meeting and why? And if they can't give you an answer to that, they can't say, yes, I want another meeting and here is why. If they can't articulate it, you might be spinning your tires. And by the way, wouldn't you want to know why they want to have another meeting? So the second step is never leave a meeting without saying, should we have another meeting and why? Never leave a meeting without knowing the information you need is in your head or written on a pad and you got that information. And third, if you can't get the information you need, don't be afraid to close the file. Don't be afraid to say, hey, look, it sounds like this isn't a fit. Should I close the file? And you'll hear yes sometimes. See, that's what a great closer is. We call them a great closer is because they're not wasting time with 10 people dangling a carrot when those people really are never going to do business. They're closers because they're only dealing with the people who are definitely going to buy. They're getting people out of their funnel. And so we call them closers. Actually, they're not any different than us. All they're doing is they're only working with people that said yes and giving them the information they need when they need it. So do you know your own process? Do you know what information you need at what time you need it? Do you know the people that you must meet with and talk to? Do you know the information they must receive from you so that they can make a decision to go to another step with you? So if you identify those every step of the way, and here's what I want you to think about. If it typically takes you 5 meetings to close a sale, then your first meeting has one purpose, and that's to get the right information, the right data to close the second meeting. And the second meeting has one purpose, to get the right information, the right data, the right time to close the third meeting. See, the first and second meeting have nothing to do with closing the sale. It's just closing that next step. So if you want to be a good closer, that's what you have to do. And by the way, in order to be a good closer, you got to have that in your head. A big part of this only works when you're not looking like, sounding like, tasting like a salesperson. It works when you're doing what we call a pattern interrupt. You go into a meeting with the intention of, I'm here to help her get out. It almost is like they have to convince me it's worth my time. They have to sell me on this meeting, not the other way around. Because if they can't articulate a problem, it's an issue. So number one, don't move to the next step. If you want to be a good closer, don't move to the next step until you have all the information you need for that next step. Number two, Don't be afraid to close the file. And number 3, make them convince you that it's worth your time to spend another meeting with them. If they haven't done that, then maybe you're just living on the probablys, maybes, and shoulds of the world and wasting your time. So I hope that helps. Difference between a closer. It took me a long time to figure out. I was working so hard to be a closer, and I realized they're just not wasting their time because they're identifying the people that can't do business with them. So do some sorting, do some closing, and we'll see you next time on salesmadeeasy.com. Once again, Tom at salesmadeeasy.com. I'd love to hear your comments. Thank you.